you for being here. This is a long one because it's really a think piece in audio form. I saw a video that a young lady made about a year ago, and the title of it was something like Reverse Colorism Isn't Real. And I could genuinely tell that the young lady believed every single statement she made. And it was just it was really infuriating and frustrating because it was so intellectually dishonest. She gave the general definition for colorism, somewhere early in the video, and drew some parallels and gave some examples. But this video, again, it's a direct response to that one. Reverse colorism is real, and so is light skin privilege. And I think the issue comes into play because people want to act like one cancels out the other, and it's not true. And so the fact is, two things can be true at once. Like, reverse colorism is real, and so is light skin privilege. And the privilege doesn't cancel out the fact that the reverse colorism is extremely harmful. And so, I don't know, like, I think you could only believe that reverse colorism doesn't exist if you're focused exclusively on, like, the white community or just, like, the dominant societal structure at large. It's kind of like saying, like, if you say it's not real, you're basically saying it really doesn't matter how other black people treat you, because or in this case specifically black women. It doesn't matter how other black women treat you because you're more palatable to white people. And since they like you, why are you even making a big deal out of how you're treated by us? Or that we don't like you as much or resent you? Why is that even a big deal? Why do you even care? Like, that's what pretending it's not real. Like, that's what you're saying. And that's the only mindset a person can have if they really believe that reverse colorism doesn't exist. And so I think, like, in this space, this exotical space where mixed and light-skinned women have come together after being rejected by the Chrissies of the so-called Black women empowerment camp, the dominant argument has never been we were rejected and ostracized by white society because of our complexion. That's not the argument. The complaint I believe that women in this space have is that we see ourselves as the black women that we are, and we identify with the plight of black women, and we've taken a stand against colorism, so much so that we joined you in your black female empowerment spaces, and we were there to, like, raise our voices, lift our voices up with you to say black women are beautiful, just like all other types of women. Black women are feminine. Black women are delicate. Black women are strong, intelligent, funny, creative, so on and so forth. And ultimately, that black women should not be disregarded because of having more or less melanin in their skin, or African features, or 4C hair. And in those spaces, it's like our allegiance to their image was repaid with rejection. Like, and it's just like the rejection online really did mirror what is happening or has happened or will continue to happen in real life by women who are triggered. And I think too, like, the way that it happened online forced many of us to stop gaslighting ourselves into pretending that it wasn't happening in real life as well. That Chrissy content And that type of content in general created so much division amongst an already divided group of people. And it's crazy because, like, do you really think that biracial mixed and light skinned women were following Chrissy for any reason other than to uplift dark skinned women? That we saw our, like, we were there because we saw ourselves in her talking points. We thought initially that it was by raising the image of a dark skinned black woman, like that allows everyone to get their recognition, so we thought. And it's just like, just having to accept that to them, black women are not a monolith. And because of that, like, again, I really do think that's what that content helped us to kind of get the inner workings of their minds. Like, you really think I'm your competition? I'm your cousin. Are you crazy? I don't know. I think that the reason why people or unambiguous dark-skinned black women want to say that reverse colorism isn't real is because they're drawing a false parallel between colorism and racism. And racism is about a systemic structure that's keeping you out. You really can't talk about racism without acknowledging systemic power dynamics, institutional power structures outside of the community, like by society as a whole. What we're talking about as it relates to reverse colorism, this is happening within the community by women on the home team. This is not about what's happening outside of the community. And it's happening by women and from women that you're there to embrace, and you've always embraced. And I think as this space continues to grow, like, I hope that through us sharing our stories, there can be some sort of acknowledgement, from dark-skinned women, dark-skinned unambiguous black women, that some of you, not all of you, never all of you, but some of you have participated in reverse colorism. You have been bullies. You have treated women who have done nothing to you like complete and utter trash for no reason other than her complexion. And if that is not reverse colorism, then racism doesn't exist. And I think you will never be able to convince those of us who've been picked apart and mistreated because of reverse colorism that those experiences happening sometimes on a day-to-day basis were not as equally harmful and damaging to our personal growth, our emotional growth and development, and especially our ability to trust other women, as some aspects of racism can be damaging. And I know that's a very strong statement, but you tell that to, like, the girls who got their faces sliced open. Or recently I heard about one girl who, she said that her friend actually watched her get SA'd by someone. And while she was literally on the floor reaching for her friend's hand to help her get out of this situation, the girl just stood there and watched her. And even though these are extreme examples, like that, those seemingly little slights, the microaggressions, those add up. And, as badly as I want to move past this colorism content, because, side note, I stopped eating processed sugar for the most part for the last 2 weeks. Didn't really lose a pound, but, like, the inflammation in my face, like, my face slimmed down just from taking sugar out my diet. My face slimmed down. And I know that, it's been trending on TikTok and other places that sugar is the number one thing that causes us to age. That's the type of content I really want to make at some point, like health related wellness type content. But these videos that say, like, reverse colorism isn't real exist. And there has to be something to counter that. There has to be content from this exact perspective, from a girl that looked like her or similar to her, or any of these women, like, we have to have our voices heard, because if it doesn't exist, then you get to erase my struggles that you created simply because I'm not suffering enough for you, or you've suffered differently than me, as if being a double minority in the world is erased completely by certain privileges. When the truth is, we have to deal with racism from both Becky and then the systemic powers that be. And then we have to turn around and be hated sometimes sight unseen by other Black women just because our phenotype gives evidence of what happened to our great great grandmothers. And that is, and when you're talking about like monoracial Black women with 2 Black parents and 4 Black grandparents, you are talking specifically about the atrocities that happened during slavery. You're talking about that admixture that happened centuries ago. We are not the complexions that we are with the different phenotypes we have because Africans on the continent of Africa come in all different colors, which they do. I think even the tribe that Mandela was from, like they showed like this African and Asian admixture there. This ain't that. Like this 14% admixture, like what I have going on over here, that's what did my poor ancestors go through? Ancestresses, I think that's the proper term. Like, what did they go through? Because what in the world? Like, why? How did Swedish, English, Irish, South Asian all end up in me? Like, how many different violations was that they had to survive for me to exist? And how dare we be made to feel bad about that when epigenetics is a thing? And that's what you say. Like when you say you don't care about light skin tears, I need to do a whole video on epigenetics. But in short, epigenetics, what the women who carried us went through, that trauma hit their nervous system. And trauma is passed down genetically. So when the women in our lineage were being traumatized, they were forever impacted with the legacy of strength that we inherited. But please believe that some of that trauma they went through explains certain sensitivities and proclivities that you are experiencing today and suppressing today and can identify the source of today. And like, I don't know, like that can't just be swept. Like you can't just act like it's okay to treat a woman, another Black woman, like crap because you are triggered by her complexion, especially when you know the history of why she looks like that. Like, did you want more of your relatives to experience that? Because that's really what you're saying. That video made me so mad. The one about reverse colorism not existing. Yeah. I hope that through our collective sharing, healing takes place and that we continue to find solace and strength in the validation that comes from hearing and like reading each other's experiences, and that we don't allow ourselves to harden or change who we are outside of becoming more confident and more self-assured and more kind, like regardless of who we need to cut out and exclude from getting to know us because they don't know what to do with us or how to appreciate us properly anyways. And I'm going to do a video on how to do that with finesse. Because one thing I know how to do is cut off somebody who doesn't appreciate me. And I do it so subtly that they don't know what happened. And we don't have to discuss it because you already know what you did. Now, I have been to therapy, and if it's not like a pattern of repeated offenses, because if it's a pattern of repeated offenses, this is how you decided you want to treat me. And I don't want you around if your default way of treating me is like this, and I don't like it. And I'm never treating you like that. So in those instances, we're not having a big, huge conversation about anything. I'm going to gently release you, and you'll hear from me less and less, if at all. And you might even get to stay social media friends with me, because I'm not really on social media like that anyways. And I don't really believe in the evil eye. Like, I really feel like if you got the power to hurt me with the evil eye, help yourself, because you don't even look that great. And I'm not just talking about physically. Like, if you really have the power to hurt someone with an evil eye, why are you in the conditions you're in? That's like, I really don't believe that you can. I don't believe God will allow that to happen to me. And I think that this is not a religious channel, but if you aren't doing anything to attract spiritistic, demonic energy to yourself, you don't have to fear people with the evil eye. You don't. You don't. And if you are not sure whether you're engaged in an activity that will attract different spirits and demonic spirits to yourself, research it and see the origin behind anything you're questioning. But I took a whole detour there. But yeah, a video on how to tactfully release people and let them go where they need to be. And these are people who don't wish you well. If someone offends me, somebody I love and value offends me, I'm not just cutting them off like right away or anything like that. Conversations can be had and should be had and have been had with people in my life who have maybe hurt or offended me, but at the end of the day, I know they wish me well. This tactful releasing of people back to where they came from and out your life is for people who are repeated offenders, who you know don't wish you well. And you don't need to allow them to stay in your inner circle or in close proximity to you so that they can, continue to be dirty and figure out how to hurt you even more. Those type of people are dangerous. But thank you for listening. This is my 2-week anniversary. I started this channel randomly on a Sunday because I have been binge watching Exoticals United's content, and she did a siren call and was like, hey, I can't represent every single aspect of women who relate to my content in this community. Start your channels. And she was the first YouTuber I have ever heard of encouraging her followers to create channels and providing free tips on how to do that. And I love that for us. I don't think she has like a jealous bone in her body. And I do feel like if my content is resonating with you, you're not being treated like crap by people who are triggered by you because you're a bad person. You're not. You're not being treated like crap or have a history of being treated poorly by women who were triggered by you because you're not a good person. It is because you are a good person. You're probably pretty inside and out, which makes them even more upset. Because how dare you be happy? How dare you be happy and unproblematic and ladylike and reserved because you don't need to be the center of attention because your confidence is quiet. But yeah, it's my 2-week anniversary. Thank you so much for being here with me. I feel like I've grown so much just in the 2 weeks that I've been able to share some of these things with and just release them, just release them and acknowledge them. There is so much catharsis in sharing and having other women be like, yes, me too. That happened to me too. Because now you don't feel crazy. Like I knew it was real, but I didn't know it was as common as it is, So I'm really excited to read more and more stories from you. Like I'm excited to read your stories and experiences and be inspired by those experiences to create more content. And I hope that you create content the way that Exoticals United has encouraged me to tell my stories. I hope that you, whoever you are that's listening, if this is resonating with you, you have a unique perspective and a unique history and a unique story that also needs to exist on this platform. And it's so great to be able to do it and anonymously, because not that like I can't stand 10 toes down for anything I've said, because I've told nothing but the truth. But the reason why these stories haven't been told is because there hasn't been a safe space. So I hope that through listening to anything that I've had to say, that it has hopefully made you feel seen and validated and heard, and that your experiences are also worthy of being shared, so I can come over there and follow you and listen to you, and the space will continue to grow. And then videos like reverse colorism is not real, you can't, will not exist, because you will have to take that down, just like Chrissy had to take all those hateful videos she made down. Thanks for listening.